And hello everybody, and as I promised, I am at the Practical Classics Restoration Show at the NEC in Birmingham, and I've just parked up in my Focus. Ironically, I feel as if this car should be in that show, but hey, you know, I don't have whatever they require for a tiny little space in that hall, but maybe in the future we can sort something out as a group. Yes, so basically I am going to head in now. I have my ticket and I've put my parking ticket on the windscreen because naturally I have driven instead of my first plan, which was to get the bus. Couldn't be asked to get the train because the train services in Birmingham are like the rest of the country and they're dire. Anyway, let's get in. Right, bye old girl. Don't go walkies. Well, I've just got off the shuttle bus and I am a little early, as you can see. I'm very keen. No, actually, most people have actually gone in. I just needed 5 minutes to collect myself and sort myself out before going in. I will tell you now, I'll give you a forewarning just before we go, and here's the last shuttle bus. It's literally a few minutes away from the car park. If you've never been to the NEC, they'll just take you straight to the front entrance here where you can go in and find your hall. Now, I will give a slight disclaimer to this video. People are going to cut in front of me. It is going to be busy. It's Saturday. My voice, I hope, will be as close to the camera as possible. And there is a slight disclaimer if I faint at the prices of food, or if I trip over, or something seriously unpredictable happens. So, right, best get in like these folks are. And we are in, and it is quite a nice show. I've been here a few times in the past, so naturally I wanted to see how it's actually progressed. I think it is actually a little bit smaller than what it used to be. But anyway, I have just got to the cars. I've actually passed a load of tool bits, so I will now start going over the cars. Now what you're going to get is you're going to get a mixture. I mean, this is Talbot? Yeah, it is. It is. With all the cibbies, a brace of cibbies at the front, as you would usually expect. And obviously the genuine mud, you've got to have that. Over here, well, my Ford fans are going to love this, okay? Cortina, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. No idea what the colour is. Absolutely not. That is absolutely spanking. Those seats look so much more comfortable. Honestly, modern seats are rubbish compared with old school comfy seats. Right, it's a 1.6 GL, so slightly off the bottom, more to the top, I suspect. Love the wheels on this thing. That's exquisite. So nicely designed. And this has been about a lot. Okay. Oh, okay. Owned by a Jeff Buys Cars subscriber. I have heard of Jeff Buys Cars before. And over here we have the Volvo Owners Club. I'm trying to get used to my camera work here, but Volvos, for me, go in the same category as Saabs. Unusual, but very, very robust cars. The Swedish have always been like this. I do like some headlamp washers, really do. I do love these big old barges. They are barges. I know someone who owns a Volvo Amazon like this, but this is not a standard colour. There's no way it came out like that. That's two pack. That's not cellulose, that's 2-pack paint with lacquer, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I tell you what, there's an awful lot of classic cars that look good in black. And actually, the successor to that car was actually this, the Volvo 144, which is slightly different at the front, quite a lot different at the front, more boxy, more standardised-ish. I think this is an Oh, I think this is the automatic version. It actually is. I love the strip speedo. Something I absolutely loved in my P6. I mean, that is such an exquisite 60s, 70s design. I love how Volvos are laid out with their intricate controls, the heating, ventilation controls along the side. It's just so simplistic. In fact, if I go around the back, these are really popular. Yeah, it is an automatic version. It is a 144. Just a beautiful colour. I think if you wanted a Volvo this sort of era, I mean, we're talking H-Reg, so we're talking I can't remember what H-Reg is now actually. We're going by prefix, suffix registrations, but that is kind of a typical really nice colour that you would want to see a Volvo in. Sorry, I've literally just passed this Ford Probe. Now, I don't know much about Ford Probes other than the fact they actually look really nice. A lot of Ford's styling in the 90s was very much passed pretty much in every car they made, whether it was in the US market, the Australian market and the European market, and it kind of all linked together. So it's an L reg. Okay, so we're talking 94. Yeah, it's kind of what we were expecting. Lovely example. Then we have pre-war Longbridge stuff. Oh, and yeah, I believe that is an Austin A40 Somerset. Yeah. Yeah, it is an Austin A40 Somerset. My best mate has one of these. Fantastically beautiful car. And that would be a B series engine just sitting there. As I say, because this is the restoration show, there's an awful lot of work going on, and Saturdays when you'll probably see this work, the pièce de résistance, the full Cortina. Got to be done, got to be seen. Okay, lovely. Exposed cam belt. It looks very tidy and very original. It hasn't actually been messed about with at all. There you got, yeah. Oh my goodness me, you got open carbs. And we have a Morris Minor Traveller. Got to be done with a cream grille. This has been to a few places actually. Looking at the badge work on this and all this. And apparently it was a special order factory black. Yeah, I mean, the ironic thing is about 1940s cars is that they all come in black, but then by the 60s and 70s you had to order black as a special order, which is just ridiculous considering how actually nowadays we look at black as being quite a popular colour, and a lot of classics really do look good in black. If you want something a bit more exotic, we have some Mercs. We have a W20 E35. Oh, it's the AMG. It's an AMG. Yeah, this is an AMG. Reef. Yeah, that's really nice. And for the time, this was top notch, almost top notch. You've got your own version of a little J gate in there. That's very, very well appointed. Again, and then here I think we have a 560 SEC. Oh, it's the coupe. It's the two-door version. That's just gorgeous. That is. Yeah, that's a really nice interior. I've never been totally into Mercs, but this generation, kind of 80s, 90s generation Mercs, they always really appeal. And over here we have, well, this has been completely slammed as they usually are. Yeah, it's so slammed. It's on air suspension. I wonder how much of a backbencher's salary does it take to actually re-leather the whole interior. Unbelievable. I can see why these fetch what they do. I mean, I think if people talk about Mercedes, this is the one they think of most of all. Across on my left, we have the Austin Counties Car Club. A Austin A70 Hereford, so we're going a little bit more upmarket from the A40 Somerset. This is an A70 Hereford. That is absolutely gorgeous. Slightly bigger, but slightly more plush. This is what you come to see. This is what people come to see. So we have a restored version next to one that is literally looks as if it's come out of a barn, literally, with all the scabbiness. Wow. Okay. I wouldn't want to acid dip this because I don't know how much should be left. This has been sitting there for so long. Yeah, I love the finish. Typically what people do is they actually oil paint this. What you'll do is get a can of engine oil, whatever it is, and just literally paint the exterior in engine oil, so it gives a gloss and a shine, and it actually preserves the metal further. That seems to be a hot rod sort of thing, but oh, the moss and the rubbers, gosh. And you look at that one and it's like, oh my god. You see inside, oh my god. They haven't even touched it. It literally is, oh my gosh. Spiders webs everywhere. Now this is the Pride of Ownership stand. Now I believe that this is a presentation of different cars from unusual backgrounds, interesting backgrounds that have been selected to be placed on this stand, and you could just walk around. So we're going to go in now. So the first one over here is a Toyota Paseo. I've not seen one of these in actually quite a few years. They're actually quite unusual. I can't imagine these being very common at all. And yeah, I'm so sorry, I've passed the MGB. I mean, it's disgraceful. I was looking at buying one of these years ago, but I think the rust put me off. But, oh, okay. If this has been resprayed, it's been done very well. I think it's been resprayed. Oh, God, the orange. That is just so 70s. It's like my granddad's deck chairs. In the nicest way possible. I would like one. I think I'll have to experience an MGB, but the problem is they're going to have to come down in price. And you have a B series engine, and that is absolutely beautiful. Everything you could imagine has been touched in here, restored to the last nut and bolt. That is just absolutely gorgeous. B series engines are brilliant engines, absolutely brilliant. There's hardly anything to go wrong with them. The O series engine that replaced it was better in terms of what it produced, but not as reliable. It wasn't really a proven engine like this. This and the A series are probably the kings of British car engines. I just love it. I mean, I just love the row styles, just absolutely gorgeous. Oh Christ. He's actually put a mirror on the floor. I didn't realise that. That's how clean it is underneath. Yeah. Pride of ownership. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay. There might be some disgust at some of my subscribers who will look at this and think, do you know what? You have to appreciate it for what it is. So it is a GTI Mark 1. And I shouldn't have had to have looked at that because I know it is. Who needs an introduction to this? And that is one heck of a clean motor. These engines, I believe, were in production, in Mark III production, I think in Mark IV production towards the end, because this is only the 8-valve version. Because these engines were so reliable, they just kept it going. Even the gearbox is clean. God. This is my level, by the way, guys. This is exactly what I want to achieve with every car I own. It's as simple as that. That level, that's my level. Even I don't think I'd struggle to get it to that level, to be honest, but that's what I'd aim for. Not so sure. Yeah, definitely got to have a golf ball. Non-standard steering wheel, I believe, but the seats are really nice with that check pattern. Now another one with its mirror at the bottom is this Ford Capri. And oh, that is just so clean. I mean, that's the cleanest Capri you've ever seen, isn't it? I can smell this interior. It just smells of 80s. It's only a smell a car gets after it's about 30 years old. And I tell you, my Mark I Focus is getting to the stage where it's smelling very similar to this kind of 80s, 90s vibe. It's a really nostalgic smell. I don't know what causes it. This is being rebuilt. So that's a Pinto engine, the famous Pinto engine, which has been massively rebuilt, as it looks like. And it has been wrapped as well. And oh wow, okay. This has had a lot of work done to it to get it from that stage in that sort of accident. She likes her cars. Right, I've just spoken to the lady that owns this car. Apparently, this is a Series 1 Mark I Golf. There is a Series 2 over here, which I'm actually going to take you to now. Apparently, Series 1s, there's only 48 of them in the UK. Series 2s, there's a few more. But there's quite a few differences. Including visually the rear lights, and then you've got these inner fog lamps on these Series 2s. Slightly revised bumper. That bumper looks very different actually. But then you've got the Series 2 with slightly updated dashboard. Not many differences, but some. That's a really nice colour to come across. I think you think of a Golf GTI with the red stripes and black. That's what you visualise it as. Ford Escort. Got to be done. Wow, okay. Now I believe that would be the Kent engine, which has been completely rebuilt from top to bottom. That's just absolutely gorgeous. The spoiler on the back. Registered at Bristol Street Motors, whether that's correct, it's a possibility. And that's how long Bristol Street Motors have been going. I have a big soft spot for Austin Metros, and it really shows, because I would like one. I really would like one, and the rust, do you know what? I just deal with it. You buy one of these cars, you have to deal with the rust. You have to stay on top of it, and this one, I mean, it's as clean as what you can get. This has been fully restored. The lattice alloys is a really nice touch, and it's so common to see the lattice alloys on both the MG and the Austin versions, mainly because you may be aware that the Austin versions especially had metric tyres, I should say. And that means that the original wheels, I suspect, cannot be used, which is why you see so few of them on the originals. I don't know if you can get metric tyres. Some people have tried different solutions. Some people have tried different wheel and tyre combinations, or had custom-made tyres which cost a fortune in order to preserve the originality of the wheels. But it's very common to see these because these are not metric wheels. Hence why so many people put them on. But lovely colour. Yeah, that's what I remember. They were everywhere. And just behind me, talk about being around everywhere, and these were Cooper Sport, an S-Reg Cooper Sport, so a 96 plate Mini with the flared wheel arches. You've got the sports pack interior, really nice. Lovely chrome dials on the dashboard. Love the little switches. Very simple, very uprated, very desirable, even today. I'm afraid my best mate might wet himself because he had one of these about 15 years ago. It was a white one, and it was actually the Series 1 with the quad headlamps, not these. It was the earlier quad square headlamps. These are the later ones. This is a G-Reg Quattro, a 1989 Quattro. It's just something of a car enthusiast wet dream, this, to be honest. There's just everything. This is when Audi were kind of at the pinnacle of making fast, exciting cars. I mean, why would you not want one of these? And a lot of people bought the Audi Coupe, which was the non-Quattro version. It looked exactly the same. It was a coupe body style. It just didn't have the Quattro four-wheel drive system. But many people bought them because of how popular this car became, because of obviously the World Rally Championships. And World Rally Championships have a habit of promoting the best of cars, just like the Focus Mark 1. I mean, these are all the cars that you can vote for. You can actually vote for your most favourite one. And I believe, I forgot the name of this now. I really have completely forgot. Right, it's an Austin A90 Atlantic convertible. I mean, it's not something you would have seen in this country. It was mainly sold towards the American market, the export market. It's very, very 50s, mid 50s, late 50s, teddy boy style car. I love that, the overlapping. That's the American thing, that's the American style, and Americans love this swooping back end of every single car they wanted. And it was specifically designed for that market. It didn't sell in very high numbers. I don't think any Austin really sold in high numbers, but it's a magnificent styling exercise nevertheless, and this is the sort of stuff they were coming up in the 50s. BMW 525e. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as BMWs go, I would have to have one from this era. It's as simple as that. Oh, it's a C-Reg, so 85. Okay, 80s. I thought it was later 80s, early 90s, automatic as well, as typically most of them are. Most of the surviving ones are automatic because the manual... Unfortunately, what you're going to see today is a lot of automatic cars because the manual versions, well, they were basically ditched many years ago. People basically threw them to the point of exhaustion and destruction, or they were just stolen and joyridden and then crashed. Whereas the automatic versions, who's going to steal an automatic unless you're an idiot? We have this beautiful Ford Puma next door, of which it's a dwindling number. Oh, it's a racing Puma. Sorry, you know what? I got it completely wrong. It is a racing Puma, and I tell you what, there's so few of these now. I think there's only about 30. I might correct myself in the edit there, but this was a very, very niche car, and it just showed exactly how far Ford could go, particularly with the engine side of things. They really did push things a little bit more. Love the rear lights. Love the rear lights. They just got it so right with this car, based on a Fiesta Mark IV, which, I mean, if you think about it, the Fiesta Mark IV was based solemnly on a Fiesta Mark III platform. It wasn't that different. They didn't change the platform, and this is what it's based on. need to paint my calipers. I think around 500 were made. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure 500 were originally made. But as far as numbers are concerned now, I think this is probably one of 20, 30 left. And I believe that engine produces about 150 odd brake hour, probably 153, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. Volvo P1800. There is one by me, and this is one Volvo that I should have bought many years ago when I had the option of buying one, but instead I bought a P6. Did I make a bad decision? I think I did, because these are now stonkingly good value for what they're worth. Oh, it's a left-hand drive. I'm not a fan of bullet mirrors, but they work on this car. They really do, because of that swooping line. You can tell I love this car by the fact that I'm just moving the camera across. And this car, again, this is a 944, I gather. Yeah, Porsche 944. These were cheap as chips about 5 years ago. Now they've suddenly imploded, and now they're worth a humongous amount of money. And this is incredible. It's a manual gearbox. It's not an automatic. Okay, that puts it in a rarity. That's more desirable. One of my friends had one of these years ago, but it was a 944 turbo in white, and they're even more desirable now. But they're still relatively gettable. I mean, if you've got 4 or 5 grand in the bank, one that needs work, it's perfectly feasible. I just couldn't justify having one at the moment because of the insurance, but that's just, yeah. Porsche were getting things right in the 80s, where they started to appeal to the sort of more the average man. The more affordable version is the 924, but that's not quite as nice because of the engine, but still. Is this a 190? Oh yeah, it's a 190E. I saw it a mile off. 190Es with the ribbed rear lights. I love them. Such a 1980s touch. Manual gearbox, but you've got to be very careful, because I think putting the gearbox in reverse is actually very easy, because it's not a dog leg, I believe. It actually is. I think it's a dog leg first gear, which means that you could obtain reverse quite easily. It is about 9:30 and it is getting selectively busier. Now, off that stand now, so we've done the pride of ownership stand. Personally, oh, wow. I thought I'd forgotten one then. Nope, I haven't. The pride of ownership, I'm going to vote later, but I'm not quite sure what. I personally am going to go for the Capri potentially, because that's gorgeous. I think the VW Golf though has a shout in that. Sorry to those who might be disappointed that I might vote for a VW, but I have to be open about these things. And this is a GTE, Reliant Scimitar. Is it GTE? This is one of 79 Scimitars produced by Middlebridge. Ooh, okay. This is absolutely stonkingly gorgeous. Very, very funny. I've always liked Scimitars. Always liked them. Well, I say Scimitars. This is the GT version. This is a much earlier version actually through, yeah. Don't know much about the earlier GT versions, but that looks, that looks quite usable actually. And obviously, wow, okay, you're gonna have the Martini stuff on it. This is the rally version. The Perspex is very difficult to see through, but that's that looks fast. Now, this is a particular nice section because this is the Saab Owners Club, and I am very much open to having a Saab. It'd be a more modern Saab, but I would absolutely love one because, quite frankly, I mean, it looks like, I don't know why, but this version looks like a Dame Edna impression. I mean, literally, Dame Edna's glasses right there. And if you don't know who she is, look her up. That's a 9000 turbo. I mean, to me, they always appeal to people who, put it this way, more intellectual. Always appeal to architects and very, very uprising professionals, but who want something a little bit different, something a bit more outrageous than a Volvo. A Volvo was a bit more standard, whereas these were quite special. I mean, as I say, if you look at that interior, look at all the buttons. It's like an aircraft carrier. You can tell that they were just trying to make a car look like a literally give the ambience of an aircraft cockpit with every single button you can possibly imagine. And the great thing about Saabs, I think, until the very end of production, you couldn't steal a Saab unless you put it in reverse, because it was stuck in reverse, which is why so few of them get stolen. Gotta have the obligatory sunroof. That's a very brown interior. I can't actually see in there too easily because people have been polishing their windows so much. And this is a Saab 99, and Saab 99s use an engine based off a Triumph Dolomite. It's the same slant 4 engine, but they tweaked it. So they took the technology even further. Wow. And it comes with the vinyl roof. In fact, that looks way more high quality than the original. That's not original. I'm pretty sure that's not original. It doesn't have the same sort of grain. My camera's picking up all sorts of reflections. Nice little touch there on the back. Saab EMS. What is an EMS? Now, this is something I don't know about actually. So this model variant was the sportiest of the 99 range, the 2-door EMS. Oh, the electronic manual special. Right, okay. This was available only for a few years. I have heard of it. It didn't click just then. But this would have been a high-end, expensive model. You wouldn't have seen these. Not really anyway. And then here we have the 2-litre version, which is a bit more down to earth. Brown velour seats. These seats do look comfortable though. That's the difference. Every car I've seen today has comfortable seats. They look comfortable, they look padded, and they just are. I love the actually the differences between the high-end version. So this is a K-Reg, so this is a 73. So this is a much earlier car, but I do like that chrome element to the grille. I have a particular love for Saabs, and I will own one, but I don't know whether it'll be a 99 or a 9000 or an early one. I mean, 9000 turbo. It is, no, it's outside, 9000, 900 turbo. Got it one digit wrong. I always do that. That's just gorgeous. And I believe that this was the first Saab ever made. Not this particular example, but the first car that Saab properly made. And I believe it uses a 2-stroke engine. So you've got obviously the engine all been mixed with the fuel to make the combustion. There was a particular issue with this, and I think it was due to going downhill. I'm not quite sure what it was. I think Top Gear covered this years ago. All I remember, it was an issue going downhill where the car could cut out because it actually runs out of fuel, but only under certain circumstances. But the styling is, it's all there. The DNA of Saab continued all the way through, even towards the end where GM were giving them the Cavaliers and the Vectras. Well, mainly the Cavalier and the Vectra, and then the Insignia, and insisting that they just change a couple of badges. What they ended up doing was changing so much more that it was actually not really a GM product underneath. And I think that's why GM told them to absolutely F off in the end, and they sold the company. They were left on their own, and Saab just needed a partner, and they just couldn't find one. They just went bankrupt. Real shame. Watch out, the police are here with the Volvo Amazon estate. Oh yes. Who doesn't like a police car? You could probably shove a couple of people in the boot. If you've lost the room on the back seats, just shove them in the boot, and I'm pretty sure that would have happened. Again, normal Volvo Amazon, but in this almost like a British racing green. It's so, actually no, it looks almost like Jaguar. I can't remember if it's a moss green that Jaguar made, but it's very, very similar to that. Oh gosh, makes you feel sick, doesn't it? So it makes some people feel sick. It wouldn't make me feel sick. I'm all for cream and beige. It's just gorgeous. Now this is a PV 544. Well, these were mainly sold, I think this was the American car. I don't think these were ever sold in the UK. And this is left-hand drive as well. Yeah, I think the PV 544 was never sold in the UK. I'm pretty certain this has obviously been re-registered on a H plate. But they are, if you look at it, it's incredibly Americanized. It's definitely not designed for here. But I'll tell you what, it's got shades of the VW Beetle about it, the way it actually curves up the back. Just over here by the Dart, we actually have a section version of the Daimler V8. Now, this engine, I believe, started out in about the mid-50s, and I think by the mid-70s it had kind of like gone the way of the wind. It was a little bit less powerful than the Rover V8, the Buick 215 as that was known as originally, but this was still quite a beast back in the day. I can't remember how much power it produces. Have we got a plaque here? Oh yeah, right, so we have 140 brake horsepower. So actually that's quite comparable to a Rover V8 in many respects. You had the 2.5 litre version and the 4.5 litre version. I believe the 4.5 litre appeared in the Dart itself. I mean, that would make this, it's just a powerhouse on wheels. But I don't necessarily think it had the chassis to cope with that. But they were still quick if you go in a straight line. You can see here the section version of the cylinder heads where you've got the rocker arms acting on the valves. That's how cars are made, and you've got your dynamos sitting here at the top. Obviously the later models had alternators, and those dash pots have been so chromed up, it's untrue. You've got the exhaust camshaft side. Gorgeous piece of engineering. We have another Dart here as well. Now if we come round here, I'm trying to skirt around. There is just, the problem with this show is that you start going off in a direction and then you sort of miss a whole corner because you sort of get carried away. You see another car you like, then another one, and then it's like, oh, I've lost track of where I am now. This is obviously undergoing some repair works here. I'll just come back in a second. Ooh. Okay, that is a Daimler pre-selective gearbox. I understand the principle of how you drive one, but actually taking one apart is completely, no. I have no idea how that would link up. That's absolutely gorgeous engineering. Now this is one of my real all-time favourites. Now, someone who is into Rovers, I've had a P6, I would love a P5, but the P4 for me is actually I don't know why, but there's something really attractive about the P4. I think it's the first car that really took Rover out of the post-war days where they were just replicating cars like every other manufacturer from what they were doing before the war, because obviously the shortages, no one was designing cars, so they had all the car manufacturers, Austin, Rover, all of them were recycling all the old pre-war cars in the late 40s and 50s. Obviously immediately they started work and taking the company forward, but these, with the 6 cylinders that you could actually obtain these with, the 2.6 are the most silkiest smooth things you can ever drive. I've had the pleasure of actually driving one many years ago. Thanks to my P6 ownership, I met quite a few people, and just look at the doors. They're just thick pieces of metal. I mean, look at it. It looks just so substantial. Even the B pillar is substantial. I think on the P6 they slimlined it down a bit. The doors were thinner. The A pillar, B pillar and C pillars were, obviously the C pillar's been thick pieces anyway. You've got this blind spot here, but the two-tone is just gorgeous on this. This is a 100, so it's the least powerful version. Got to have the obligatory driving gloves, but look at that. It's just so quality. The heating controls in the middle, it's just sliding heating controls with a radio. Most of them had radios, because if you could buy one of these, you would most likely buy a radio. And you've just got all your pull switches there, and that steering wheel is absolutely gorgeous. It does protrude quite a bit, but nevertheless, it's just such a comfortable car with lashings of wood as well.